I never thought I'd bury a body. Not literally, God. No. That would be too clean for what came next, but the digital kind, the one that unravels empires with a single keystroke. My husband, Ethan, always called me just IT, like I was the glitch in his perfect code. The forgotten subroutine keeping his world spinning. That night, as I stared at the grainy security feed on my screen, him tangled in sheets with my sister, her laughter echoing like shattered glass, I didn't scream. I didn't shatter. I typed. And in that moment, I became the ghost in the machine they'd all overlooked. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat, mocking me, as I bypassed the first firewall. Ethan had no idea the backdoor I'd built years ago. A little Easter egg for emergencies. Emergencies like this. Rain hammered the penthouse windows like it was trying to drown out the city below, but nothing could wash away the acid burn in my throat. It was 2:17 a.m., the kind of hour where New York pretends to sleep, but really just licks its wounds. I'd come home early from the data center in Midtown, my sneakers still laced with the grit of subway platforms, expecting Ethan to be buried in his latest venture capital pitch. Instead, I found the door ajar, the air thick with the scent of her perfume, Lila's, my baby sister, the one who'd always been the golden child. The one I'd protected since we were kids scraping by in that cramped Queens apartment after Mom OD'd on fentanyl-laced pills. I froze in the hallway, phone in hand, thumb hovering over 911 like it was a lifeline. But who calls the cops on their own blood? The sounds from the bedroom, moans, whispers, the creak of our California king, hit me like a freight train. I pushed the door open just enough to see Ethan's broad shoulders flexing under the dim lamp, Lila's legs wrapped around him like vines choking a tree. God, you're so much better than her, she gasped. And he chuckled, that low rumble I'd once mistaken for affection. Mila's just reliable. Like the Wi-Fi. Reliable. Just IT. The words I'd heard 1,000 times at Harrington Enterprises, the family firm Dad built from a scrappy software startup into a $500 million beast. Harrington, my maiden name, the one I kept even after the wedding, because Ethan said it sounded powerful. Irony, right? I'd been the invisible thread holding it all together. Firewalls impenetrable as Fort Knox. Servers humming like loyal dogs. Access logs scrubbed cleaner than a politician's conscience. Dad called me his quiet weapon, but to everyone else, Ethan, Lila, the board, I was the nerd in the basement, the spinster aunt coding away while they schmoozed at galas. I backed out silently, heart pounding like a DDoS attack, and slipped into my home office. The laptop word to life. A black MacBook Pro scarred from late nights debugging mergers. My fingers flew, VPN tunnel to the Harrington mainframe, biometric bypass using the retinal scan I'd faked with a photo of Ethan's eye from our honeymoon. Pathetic. How love makes you sloppy. The dashboard bloomed, financials, emails, the vault where Dad's will hid like a dirty secret. He died 2 years ago. Stroke in the Hamptons, leaving 51% to me, not Lila, not the cousins circling like vultures, because he knew she'd blow it on designer bags and bad boys. But with a codicil, I had to prove stewardship. Run the IT empire flawlessly for 5 years, or it all scattered to charities he'd never name. Ethan knew. Of course he did. I'd confessed it one drunken night, whispering about the fortune while he traced circles on my thigh. Babe, that's huge, he'd said, eyes glazing over spreadsheets I'd pulled up. But huge meant opportunity, not security. Now, As I scrolled his private inbox, hacked via a Trojan I'd planted in his phone during our last date night, the betrayal unfolded like a virus. Subject: Fortune Flip, Phase 1. From Lila. She's clueless.
Bro.
Just IT. Remember? We reroute the shares through the Cayman shell. Blame the glitch on her code. Board eats it up. Your VC firm swoops in as White Knight. Ethan's reply: love you for this. Marry me after? Mila's infertile ass can't give me heirs anyway. Infertile? The word gutted me deeper than the affair. We tried for 2 years, IVF bills stacking like cordwood, until the last miscarriage. When the doctor said my uterus was hostile terrain, I blamed myself. Swallowed the pain like bad code. But Ethan? He'd been plotting escape. My hands shook as I copied files to an encrypted drive. Not revenge yet, just evidence. The rain outside turned to sleet, frosting the glass like a coffin lid. I thought of Dad's funeral. Lila in her black Gucci weeping crocodile tears while I handled the eulogy. The tech tributes. The goddamn PowerPoint of his life. She'd hugged me after, whispering, "You're the strong one,
Mila."
I couldn't do this without you. Liar. Both of them. By dawn, I'd mapped it. The embezzlement trail. $2 million siphoned from R&D into Ethan's side hustle, a crypto scam Lila fronted on Instagram. They'd framed early glitches on me, delays in the AI rollout that cost clients millions. The board whispered incompetence, but Dad had shielded me. Dying with a note in his safe. Mila bears no fault.
Trust her code.
I'd burned that note. Too ashamed. Took the blame silently. Like always. Coffee burned my tongue as I dressed for work, tailored pantsuit. Hair in a no-nonsense bun. The armor of the overlooked. The office loomed in Lower Manhattan, a glass monolith reflecting the Hudson's gray churn. Elevator dinged at 47. And there was Victor Kane, the board chair, all silver fox and Rolex, clapping my shoulder.
Mila.
Darling, fix that server hiccup? Clients are howling. Darling. Like I was the family pet. I nodded, smiling through gritted teeth. On it.
Beak.
But as I dove into the logs, I saw it, their fingerprints everywhere. Lila's IP from the penthouse. Ethan's VPN from a DC lobbyist meet. They'd been playing me for years, since Dad's deathbed. When Ethan proposed helping with the will, I'd let them in. Shared keys, literal and figurative, because family, because love. Lunch was a solo falafel truck affair. Rain soaking my blazer as I scrolled dark web forums on my burner phone. Revenge tutorials. How to ghost a digital footprint. Plant false trails. Leak just enough to ignite a fire. But this wasn't some script kiddie hack. This was personal. I needed a plan. Layered like onion routing. Untraceable. Step 1. Isolate them. I started with Lila's socials, subtle code in her Insta app. Feeding algorithms to flag her as a bot. Shadow banning her influencer gigs.
Petty?
Hell yes. But it felt like exhaling. Back at the penthouse that evening, Ethan was all apologies. Flowers wilting on the counter. Late meeting.
Babe.
Traffic from the bridge. His cologne reeked of her. I played along.
Cooking pasta al dente.
Wine poured heavy. Tell me about your day, I said, fork twirling like a cipher wheel. He rambled VC dreams. Big fish investors, while I mirrored his micro-expressions. The telltale lip twitch when he lied. Bedtime. He reached for me,
but I rolled away.
Headache. His sigh was relief. Sleep evaded me, dreams fracturing into code, binary storms where Lila's face glitched into Dad's. Accusing. Why'd you let them in? I woke sweating. Laptop open to the fortune's core, the blockchain Dad embedded. My DNA key to unlock it all. $500 million. Diversified. Stocks in Tesla knockoffs. Real estate in Miami sprawl. Patents on the AI that powered half of Wall Street.
Mine.
If I held the line. There's. If they broke me. The next week blurred. Board meetings where Vic eyed me like a liability. Lila's texts. Sis. Dinner soon? Miss you. Ethan's business trips to Miami, where shell companies bloomed like kudzu. I built the trap slowly, a honeypot server, baited with fake financials showing the fortune ripe for harvest. They bit, emails flying. She's cracking. Let's push. I watched from shadows. The woman they called just IT. Fingers on the kill switch. But doubt crept in. A buffer overflow in my resolve. Lila was blood. We'd shared secrets under covers as girls. Her stealing my Barbies. Me covering her shoplifted lip gloss. Ethan? He'd held me through the miscarriages. Or so I'd thought. Was revenge worth becoming the monster? I pushed it down, focusing on the code. In America, justice is DIY, courts for the rich, hacks for the rest. Halloween loomed, the city pulsing with fake ghosts. I hosted the party, our annual Harrington Bash. Top floor blowout with craft cocktails and drone light shows. Lila arrived in a slinky catsuit, Ethan as some tech mogul knockoff. Me in black turtleneck. Invisible as code. They flirted openly now, hands brushing, laughs too loud. Vic cornered me by the bar. Mila. Rumors.
Your.
Performance. I smiled, handing him a tainted USB. Review this. Clears everything. He plugged it later. I knew his home setup vulnerable as a screen door. By midnight, my script rolled, evidence dumped to his inbox. Anonymized, painting Ethan and Lila as the thieves. Not all, just enough to rattle. Vic's reply came at 1 a.m., meeting tomorrow.
Urgent.
I poured scotch neat, toasting the mirror. To the glitch. But as fireworks popped over the harbor, a text from Lila. Found something in Dad's old files. Call me? My stomach dropped. Had she sniffed the trap? The boardroom smelled like stale ambition and overbrewed Starbucks. The long oak table scarred from deals that built dynasties and broke backs. Vic sat at the head. His usual patrician calm cracked like cheap porcelain. Eyes darting to Ethan. Then Lila. Then me. She perched beside her date, some venture bro with veneers too white. Her cat ears discarded but claws still out. Ethan fidgeted. Ty Askew. The man who'd once charmed senators now sweating like a perp in cuffs. Mila, Vic started, voice gravel from a lifetime of cigars.
This. Dossier.
It's explosive. He slid a tablet across. The screen glowing with my handiwork, wire transfers to Caymans, emails laced with Mila's fault, even a voice memo of Lila giggling. Sis takes the heat. We take the heat.
Heat.
As if betrayal was just a spicy wing at a sports bar. I leaned back, crossing my legs, power pose from some TED Talk I'd coded the slides for. Explosive is right. I've been cleaning up their messes for months. Years. My voice was steady. American steel wrapped in Brooklyn edge. No hysterics, that's for Lifetime movies. This was boardroom warfare, where fortunes flip on a PowerPoint. Ethan's face strained to putty. Babe, this is a misunderstanding. Hackers.
Probably.
Lila? He turned to her, but she was already lawyering up in her head, nails tapping like Morse code for deny. Vic steepled his fingers, the ring from his Yale days glinting. Embezzlement's a felony. And the will, Christ.
Mila.
If this leaks. The fortune. My fortune. The codicil demanded integrity, one whiff of scandal, and it vaporized to NPR endowments and soup kitchens. Dad's ghost move, ensuring his legacy didn't rot in greedy hands. Lila stood, dramatic as a real housewife. It's fake. Mila's always been jealous, me with Ethan, me in the spotlight. She's framing us. Jealous. The word stung, but I let it hang, watching the board shift. Half were Dad's old guard, loyal to the code. The rest, Ethan's cronies, smelling blood. I pulled my laptop. Screen shared to the plasma. Let's trace it. Clicks echoed, IP logs blooming like digital fingerprints. Hers from the penthouse. His from a VPN I'd backtraced to a Starbucks in Soho. Gasps rippled.
No, isen mattered.
Hand reaching for mine. I yanked back. Don't. The vote was swift. Investigation. Lawyers. Ethan and Lila sidelined pending audit. As they stormed out, her hissing, "You'll regret this." Sis, him pleading, "We can fix it." I felt the first rush of power. Not clean, not righteous. Tainted, like the East River after a spill. But damn, it hummed. Back at the office. My cubicle, Innovation Nook, felt like a war room. I locked the door, blinds drawn against the afternoon glare off One World Trade. The next layer, exposure. Not to the press, that was sloppy, traceable. To their worlds. Ethan's VC network first, subtle leaks via sock puppets on LinkedIn. Whispers of shady dealings in pitch decks. His inbox flooded with concerned queries. Deals evaporating like morning fog. Lila was trickier. Her influencer empire, Lux Life with Lila, 200K followers drooling over Hamptons weekends and empowerment seminars, was built on smoke. I scripted bots to upvote scandals. Old DMs surfacing. Pills and thrills from her wild phase I'd covered. Bailing her out of a DUI in the Hamptons with Dad's cash. Comments exploded. Is she using again? Fake AF. Sponsors ghosted. Her agent called. Voice oily. Need to pause collabs. Guilt nod. A low-level error I couldn't debug. Late nights. I'd scroll our old photos, Thanksgiving in Queens. Lila in pigtails. Me teaching her to code on Dad's ancient Commodore. You're my hero, she'd said.
Hero.
Now villain. But heroes don't miscarry alone while their sister screws their husband. Ethan came crawling back mid-November. Thanksgiving Eve. The city bloated with tourists and turkey smells wafting from delis. He buzzed the penthouse. Voice slurred through the intercom.
Mila. Please.
It's cold out here. I let him in. Curiosity outweighing hate. He looked wrecked, stubble like sandpaper. Eyes red-rimmed from whatever scotch he drowned in. We sat on the couch. The one I'd picked from West Elm. Now, a battlefield. It was the money, he admitted. Head and hands. Your money. Lila. She dared me. Said you'd never know. But I love you.
Mila.
Always have.
Love.
The word twisted like a knife in a socket. You called me infertile, I said flatly. Wrote it in an email. He flinched.
Heat of the moment.
Lila's poison. Dump her, and we rebuild. Rebuild. As if trust was a crash server. Reboot and done. I poured us bourbon, Maker's Mark, his favorite, and listened as he spilled the full scheme, how they'd recruited Vic's nephew for insider tips, planned to gaslight me into resignation. You're smarter than us, he said, almost admiring. That's why it hurts. I nodded, feigning thaw, while my phone vibrated, audit prelims confirming the $2 mill hole.
Stay, I said.
For old times. He did, collapsing into guest bed, snores rumbling like thunder.
I veit til 3 AM.
Then plugged into his phone, full dump.
Contacts.
Nudes from Lila. Voice notes plotting my breakdown. Uploaded to a dead man's switch. Email blast if I didn't ping daily. Morning brought forced normalcy. Turkey thawing. Macy's parade droning on TV. Lila texted, family dinner? Truce? I replied, sure. Bring wine. Trap 2. The dinner. Our queen's roots demanded it, stoop-sitting. Arguing politics over pie. But this year, I'd wired the old brownstone with mics. Hidden cams from Amazon. $49.99. She arrived fashionably late, Ethan in tow like a whipped dog. Mom's ghost lingered in the lace curtains, the faded Formica table. We ate dry bird, lumpy gravy, small talk curdling into accusations. You ruined us, Lila spat, fork clattering. For what? Spite. Spite. I laughed, bitter as cranberry. You stole my life. Both of you. Ethan mediated. Hands up, ladies. But his eyes flicked to the door. Plotting exit.
Dessert, puis à la mode.
And my reveal. I played the audio, Lila's voice. Clear as a bell. Mila's the fall guy. Dumb bitch codes all day. Won't notice. Silence. Then explosion. Lila lunged, nails raking my arm. Liar. You faked it. Ethan pulled her off. But not before blood welled, 3 scratches. Superficial, but stinging like truth. Cops?
No.
Family affairs stay in-house. Especially when the house is worth half a bill. I let them rage. Then dropped the bomb. Dad's will. I hold the keys. Resign from the board. Lila. Ethan. Dissolve your firm. Or it all goes public. Felonies. Mugshots. The works. They agreed. Broken shells of themselves. Lila sobbed. I did it for us, for the family.
Us.
As if betrayal bonded. Ethan just stared. Hollow. Victory tasted like ash. But as they left, tail lights fading into the drizzle-slick streets, Vic called.
Mila.
The full audit. It's deeper. Your father's not clean.
Deeper.
The word chilled. Dad's secrets? I'd borne his burdens blindly. What else had I covered? Sleep came fitful. Dreams of code unraveling into nooses. Black Friday dawned. Malls mad with consumerism. But I holed up.
Digging.
Dad's encrypted perdition, cracked with a brute force I'd written at 19. Files spilled, not just patents, but payoffs. Bribes to regulators for early AI dominance. A whistleblower silenced with NDAs and threats. I debugged the fallout, erased logs when the feds sniffed too close, thinking it was protecting the legacy. My stomach roiled. I'd taken the fall for Dad's sins.
Just like for them.
The fortune? Blood money. Every cent. And now, with Ethan and Lila reeling, the board eyed me warily. Was I the villain? Or just the next patsy? I poured coffee black, staring at the skyline. Revenge Phase 2. Burn it down. But whose empire? Theirs or mine? December bit hard. The wind off the Atlantic whipping through Manhattan canyons like it carried grudges from the Gilded Age. Christmas lights twinkled mockingly on Fifth Avenue. Families bundled in scarves hawking chestnuts. While I navigated the subway's underbelly, anonymous in a beanie and North Face. No more penthouse luxuries. I'd sublet it furnished, crashing in a Jersey loft that smelled like wet dog and regret. Isolation bred clarity, or madness, depending on the hour. The board had suspended payouts pending review, Vic's euphemism for a witch hunt. Ethan holed up in his childhood Brooklyn walk-up, bombarding me with voicemails. Mila, therapy? We can salvage this. Salvage. Like I was a sunk ship, not a scorched earth. Lila vanished to her detox retreat in Sedona, Instagram dark. But my scrapers caught whispers, new beau. A crypto bro with tribal tattoos and trust issues.
Me?
I went dark too.
Burner laptop.
Tor browser. Coffee dripped into veins. Phase 2 wasn't exposure, it was erosion. I started with the Harrington supply chain, subtle tweaks to vendor contracts. Inflating costs by 0.2%, pennies that snowballed to millions. Board blamed market volatility, but I knew. Death by 1,000 cuts. Then, the AI core, Dad's crown jewel. Predictive algorithms trading stocks like God playing poker. I introduced a whisper of chaos, micro-errors favoring shorts on Ethan's old allies, tanking their portfolios. It felt surgical, almost merciful. Almost. Nights blurred into code binges, fueled by Adderall from a ghost pharmacy app and takeout from halal carts. I'd surface for runs along the Hudson, lungs burning, mind mapping contingencies. What if Vic flipped? What if Lila lawyered up with Manhattan sharks? Dad's files haunted me, those bribes. A trail leading to a senator's slush fund. Payoffs disguised as consulting. I'd patched the leaks at 22. Fresh out of NYU. Thinking loyalty.
Now?
It reeked of complicity. Holidays hit like a server crash. Christmas Eve. Alone with a six-pack of Yangling and Die Hard on loop, I cracked a beer to Dad's ghost. You built this on sand, old man. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. Lila's voice. Slurry from whatever peyote she'd chased. Mila?
I
know about the will. And the bribes. Dad told me. Before he died. Lies? Or truth? She sobbed. He said you'd cover for him. Like always. But I'm sorry. For everything.
Sorry.
The word hung. A dangling modifier in a bad sentence. I hung up, but sleep fled. Dawn brought a package, FedEx from Sedona. A thumb drive wrapped in red ribbon. Peace offering. The note read in her loopy script. I plugged it in sandboxed, of course, and watched videos of us kids. Dad's home movies. Then a file labeled truth.txt. It spilled. Dad's confession. Dictated post-stroke.
Mila.
If you find this,
Forgive. The bribes.
For your future. Lila's wild.
Can't handle it.
You, my rock. But the senator, he's coming for us. Hide it deeper. Attached, coordinates to a safe deposit box in Newark. Keys to offshore accounts I'd never touched.
50,000 pesos.
Untethered from the codicil. Her gift?
Or bait.
I drove out that afternoon. Jersey Turnpike, a gray ribbon under lead skies. The bank was a squat brick fortress. Teller eyeing my ID like it was contraband. Box 472, stacks of bearer bonds. A ledger in Dad's scrawl detailing every dirty deal. And a letter to my girls.
Mila. Lead.
Lila. Follow. Don't let them divide you.
Divide.
Too late. Back in the loft. I encrypted it all, but the seed of doubt sprouted. Was Lila turning? Or flipping the script? Mending to mend fences for a cut? Ethan texted, heard from her. She's broken. Like me. Give us a chance?
Chance.
Americans love second acts, Hollywood endings, redemption arcs. But this was no script, it was source code. Immutable. New Year's loomed. The ball drop a countdown to chaos. I hit a dive bar in Hoboken. Elbows with longshoremen nursing drafts. TV blaring resolutions. A guy tattooed. Blue-collar charm bought me a shot. Rough year, he asked, reading my vibe. Apocalypse, I replied, clinking glasses. We talked his union fights, my tech gig, and for an hour, I was just Mila, not the Avenger. But dawn chased me home, laptop waiting like a jealous lover. The flip came January 7th. Board reconvene. Vic called it virtual, Zoom fatigue be damned, faces pixelated in home offices.
Mila.
The anomalies, he said. Screen sharing spreadsheets bleeding red. Your department? I feigned shock. Tracing fingers over keys. Impossible. Let me audit live. They granted access.
Fools.
I patched in, screen sharing my fix, but really routing their cams through a mirror site. While they watched dummy code, I slurped their emails. Vic's affair with the intern. Cousin Tom's insider trades. Leverage. Stacked like Jenga. Post-meeting. Lila showed at the loft unannounced. Sober chic in yoga pants and cashmere. I meant it, she said, hugging fierce. The drive, Dad wanted you to have it. Us to share.
Share.
The word soured. We talked hours, tears.
Truths.
Her admitting the affair started as revenge for me stealing Dad's love. You were always perfect, she said.
Perfect.
Code word for invisible. Ethan arrived later. Takeout tie in hand, a trio like old times. We ate cross-legged on the floor, laughing at bad memories, but tension hummed undercurrent. Truce, he proposed. Hand on my knee. I let it linger. Testing. That night, they stayed, Lila on the couch. Ethan beside me. His touch was familiar, stirring ghosts of want. But as he slept, I slipped to the laptop, monitoring their phones. Lila's search history, how to contest a will. Ethan's, best divorce lawyers NYC. Fools. Or were they? By morning. Over bagels from the corner deli. Lila pitched, let's expose Vic. He's the real snake. Dad's bribes? His idea. Alliance? Or ambush? I nodded, playing along. But set tripwires, a script to flag any board queries on the fortune. February thawed the city. Slush sucking at boots. But my plans froze solid. I leaked Vic's affair to his wife. Anonymous tip. Society pages ate it up. Divorce filings hit page 6. His focus shattered. Ethan restructured his firm, dissolving under my shadow. But I caught him pitching remnants to competitors, dangling Harrington IP. Tension coiled. Spring-loaded. Lila and I bonded. Spa days in Soho. Brunches at Balthazar. But her eyes darted, calculating shares. One night. Post-swing. She confessed. Ethan wants you back.
But
I love him too. Threesome? Or threat? I laughed it off. But inside, the divide widened.
then,
The decision. Controversial. The kind that splits dinner tables. Vic called an emergency session. The fortune's at risk. The codicil's clock ticked. 3 months to prove stewardship. With scandals swirling. Auditors circled. I had the dirt to save it or torch it. Save. And I'd rule. Complicit in Dad's sins. Torch. And we'd all burn free.
Ichos érosion.
Mid-March. Under cherry blossoms shedding pink confetti in Central Park. I met them at the boathouse. Partners, I said, clinking mimosas. Ethan grinned. Lila teared up. But my phone buzzed Vic's email. Forwarded by my worm. Mila's the leak. Fire her. Flip. Time for the high wire. No net. Spring erupted in Manhattan like a glitchy render. Tulips defiant in cracked sidewalks. Taxis honking hymns to gridlock. The air thick with promise and exhaust. But under the bloom,
Rotfestet.
my alliance with Ethan and Lila was a house of cards, each breeze a betrayal waiting. We met weekly at neutral ground, dive diners in the village, where waitresses poured bottomless joe and minded their grease. Plans hashed, expose Vic's bribes, frame it as his solo op.
Absolve Dad and me.
Ethan leaned in one drizzly Tuesday. Over eggs over easy. We go public.
Controlled leak.
I know reporters, Forbes. Maybe CNBC. His enthusiasm reeked of self-preservation. Eyes on the byline cred. Lila nodded, picking at her kale salad. Mila leads. You're the brains. Brains. Flattery's oldest virus. I played ball. Scripting the drop, redacted docs to a pod of journalists. Timed for tax, season scandal. But I wove tripwires, watermarks tracing back to their IPs if they skimmed. Trust. But verify, hacker's creed. Meanwhile, the boardroom turned coliseum.
Beak.
Post-divorce gaunt. Lashed out in sessions. Mila, your metrics are tanking. Resign. Or we invoke the clause.
Clause.
The codicil's guillotine, 5-year stewardship. Or poof. 2 months left. I countered with fixes, bolstering the AI with my secret tweaks. Profits spiking 15%. They praised, but suspicion lingered, like aftershave in a stale room. Lila flipped first, subtle as a buffer overflow. Late April. Earth Day virtue signaling everywhere. She pitched a green pivot for Harrington solar integrations.
Peargol.
Sounded noble. But the proposal? Her baby. Funneling grants to Ethan's revived sustainable VC. I greenlit it publicly. But audited. Kickbacks embedded. 10% skim to her personal. For us, she texted when confronted.
Us.
The family pot. Now her piggy bank. Ethan caught wind. Confronted her in my loft. Yells echoing off exposed brick. You're greedy. Lil. She fired back. You started it, screwing my sister. I watched from the fire escape. Cigarette burning, vice I'd picked up. Menthols from the bodega. They made up in whispers. Hands linking, then his eyes on me. Hunger. Or hunger for shares.
Doubt amplified.
A feedback loop. Was I the puppet master? Or just another string? Dad's ledger mocked from my drawer, senators' names circled. Harlan Graves. Now, a presidential hopeful. Skeletons rattling. Expose him. And the fortune crumbled. Shield. And I drowned in it. May bloomed bloody. Vic's nephew. The insider. Suicided, or so the tabloid screamed. Tech scion jumps from Brooklyn Bridge. Note blamed pressures. I knew better. My leaks had cornered him. Guilt hit like a stacked trace.
Une en deux l'exception.
Had I pushed too far? Ethan comforted. Arm around me at the funeral, black suits. Rain-slick graveside in Greenwood. We're in this together, he murmured.
Together.
The word choked. Lila cracked, next. Post-Memorial Day barbecue on a rooftop in Williamsburg, craft IPAs. Fireworks over the East River. Drunk on freedom. She cornered me by the railing. Dad's box? I took half. For security, half.
25,000 pesos.
Vanished to her crypto wallet. You'd do the same, she slurred. Would I? The line blurred. Betrayals echo chamber roared. I retaliated soft. Froze her accounts. A glitch, routing to frozen assets. She panicked.
Vull sa mails pleading, sis.
Mistake. Ethan's fault, he pushed. Him. Of course. Classic flip. Ethan sensed the fracture.
Double down.
June swelter baked the city. AC units groaning like old men. He moved in temporarily, cooking farm-to-table from Union Square Green Market, making love like atonement slow, eyes locked, whispering futures with kids via surrogates. We hire the best, he said, tracing my scars from the miscarriage. I let him, body betraying mind, climaxing to visions of code collapsing. But dawn brought clarity, his browser history, surrogacy laws for contested estates, contingencies. I confronted over coffee, mug steaming like rage. Planning without me? He denied. Charming deflection. Research.
Babe.
For us.
Us.
Fractured. The climax brewed in a heat wave. July 4th weekend, city exodus to the Hamptons. But I stayed. Loft to sauna. The drop went live. Forbes expose. Harrington heist. Bribes and betrayals. Vic named. Senator tagged. Dad's ghost exonerated as unwitting. Stocks dipped 8%.
Bored and meltdown.
Vic resigned in tears on a call. You played me.
Mila. Played.
As if life was chess. Not survival. Ethan and Lila celebrated prematurely. Texts I intercepted. Our cut? Half the settlement. Settlement. They planned to sue. Paint me the tyrant. Flip complete. I summoned them to the penthouse, reclaimed. Sublet ended. Thunder rumbled over Central Park as they arrived. Expectant. Wine poured, California cab. Bold as brass. To victory, I toasted. They clinked. Greedy. Then. The hammer. Projector flickers. Full ledger on the wall. Bribes. Schemes. Their affair audio looped. You thought I'd share? My voice cracked, but held. Lila wept. We were scared. You're the heir, unfair. Unfair. The American dream's dirge. Ethan lunged for the laptop. But I was faster, dead man switch-armed. Blast to SEC. FBI. Every outlet. One move. And it flies. Standoff. Sweat beating in the AC chill. Why? He begged. Because you made me just IT.
Now.
I'm the admin. They begged, promises, grovels. Lila, blood.
Mila.
Forgive. Ethan, love.
Love.
The word shattered. I chose. Controversial. The split the crowd gut punch. Walk. Disappear. Or prison. Mercy or cruelty. Readers would debate. Exile over bars. But lives ruined either way. They chose walk. Tails between legs. Door clicked shut. Thunder crashed. Alone. I unlocked the fortune. Biometric scan. Dad's voice sprint synthesized. $500 mill. Mine. But hollow. Echoing with ghosts. Twist whispered. A final file from Dad's box. Unsealed now.
Mila.
The bribes? For you. Senator's daughter. Your half-sister. Protected her scholarship. Your rival. Lila knows. Half-sister. Rival. The fortune seed. Planted in my shadow. I laughed. Mad as Macbeth. Victory. Or curse. August humidity clung like a bad sequel. The city gasping under smog and regret. The fortune transferred seamlessly, offshores to ethical funds. Harrington rebranded as Novatech, my AI at the helm. Greenwashed and bulletproof. Board bowed. Vic's seat mine. Headlines hailing Mila Harrington, the comeback queen. Comeback. From what? The grave they'd dug. Ethan vanished to LA. Whispers of a podcast deal, betrayed by Silicon Valley, monetizing our ruin. I sent a care package, USB of his nudes with Lila. Labeled script ideas. Silence followed. Lila? Sedona permanent. Wellness guru shtick. But my scrapers caught the OD scare, pills again. Ambulance lights in desert dark. I wired anonymous rehab. No note. Blood's thicker than code. But not by much. The half-sister twist festered. A rootkit in my psyche. Senator Graves' daughter, Elena. 28. Poli-sci was at Columbia. Articles glowing with ambition. I'd met her once, gala handshake. Her eyes sharp as my syntax. Rival? Or pawn? Dad's bribes bought her Ivy silence on his irregularities. Protected me. Or her. I debated emailing. Outing the knot. But deleted drafts. Some secrets bury deeper. Fall gilded the leaves. Labor Day barbecues fading to finance bros in suits. I dated. A barista with tattoos and trust. No stakes. But nights. The loft echoed empty. Laptop my cold companion. Revenge's afterglow? Pyrrhic. Ashes in the mouth. I divided them. But the fracture ran through me, hero or heel. Forums buzzed. Reddit threads. Mila Harrington. Ice queen or victim. Comment split. She deserved it. Cheaters suck. Versus. Ruthless AF. Families off limits. October chill nipped. Halloween masks mocking my own. A gala at the Met black tie. Donors dripping diamonds. I arrived solo. Gown like midnight oil. Vic cornered me by the Egyptian wing. Scotch slurred. You won.
Kid.
But at what cost?
Cost.
His marriage. Career. The nephew's bridge dive. I toasted. The American way. Elena approached later. Flute in hand, blonde.
Poised.
Graves poise without the sleaze. MS. Harrington, admire your work. The AI ethics pivot brave.
Brave.
or deflection. We chatted policy, patents, her laugh echoing Dad's. As she left, card slipped, coffee, dig deeper.
Deeper.
The hook. November elections loomed. Graves campaigning on family values, billboards glaring from Times Square. I leaked a breadcrumb anonymous tip to Politico. Bribe ledger snippet sans names. His polls dipped 3%. Sweat on Sunday shows. Elena called. What the hell?
Mila?
My dad's.
Pause.
Then, our dad's. Outed. The twist unspooled. Coffee at a midtown cafe. Rain sheeting windows. She knew fragments. Pieced from Mom's deathbed whispers. He paid for my tuition. Guilt money.
Guilt.
The great leveler. We bonded over lattes, shared scars. Her miscarriages, too. Irony's cruel algorithm. No tears. Just facts. The fortune. Half hers by blood. I offered 10%. Charity carve-out.
Clean.
She refused. Build something. Together. Alliance. Version 2.0. Thanksgiving. I hosted, loft expanded, table groaning with catered soul food, nods to Queen's roots. Elena came. Tentative, no Lila. No Ethan. We toasted absence. Future code. But mid-carve, the door buzzed. Lila. Gaunt. Eyes haunted. Heard about her. Family. Right? She collapsed into sobs. Stories spilling. Ethan's abandonment. Her rock bottom. Therapy epiphanies. Forgive, or at least. Witness. Controversial call. I let her stay. Not trust, oversight. Elena tensed, but softened over pie. Blood calls to blood. Messy as Ethernet cables. December closed the loop. Snow dusting the park like static. The codicil cleared, stewardship proven. Fortune intact but redistributed. 20% to green tech startups. Elena's fund. Lila's stipend. Strings attached rehab. Ethan? A final gift. Job offer at Novatech. Entry-level code monkey. He accepted. Tail wagging. But under my thumb glass office. No keys. New Year's Eve. Ball dropping over a reborn Times Square. I stood with them, Elena plotting policy hacks. Lila sketching wellness apps. Ethan debugging beside me. Fireworks burst. Champagne fizzed. Happy ending? Or setup for sequel? Readers argue. Redemption arc. Or just delayed crash. I leaned into Ethan's shoulder, testing. Always whispering. Don't glitch. The cursor blinked on my phone. New project. Harrington Legacy 2.0. No ghosts this time. Just code. Clean as fresh compile. But in the machine's hum, Dad's voice echoed. Choose wisely.
I had.
Or had I? Twists echo, an encrypted email. Sender unknown. Ethan's hand? Lila's? We know the half-sister play. Your move. Game on. In America, revenge never ends. It iterates.